When it comes to relationships, there's one thing that often gets misunderstood, especially for women: insecurities. We all have insecurities, every last one of us. Men, women, it doesn't matter who you are, you've got something inside you that you're not totally comfortable with. It might be about your appearance, your personality, your job, your family. It could be anything. But here's the deal. Even though we all have them, not every insecurity needs to be laid out on the table right away, especially when it comes to a man you're interested in. Now, let me explain why. Men by nature are problem solvers. That's just how we're built. You come to a man with an issue, and our brains automatically switch into fix-it mode. We think, okay, what do I need to do to solve this? So when a woman comes to a man and starts laying out all her insecurities, whether it's about her body, her past, her job, whatever, his first instinct is going to be, how can I fix this? He's not trying to judge you or make you feel worse, but in his mind, he's thinking, all right, she doesn't like this, so I got to figure out how to make her like it. And here's where things get tricky, because some things can't just be fixed. Insecurities are deep. They're personal. They come from years of experiences, from things that have happened to you, and sometimes even from stuff you don't consciously realize. You might be insecure about how you look because of something somebody said to you years ago, or maybe you're insecure about your career because you feel like you haven't reached where you want to be yet. These aren't things that can be changed overnight, or maybe even at all. These are things you personally have to work through, and a man isn't always going to understand that. So when you start telling a man about all these insecurities, he's going to try to offer solutions, and you're going to end up frustrated when those solutions don't actually help. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you should hide who you are or never talk about your insecurities with your man. That's not what I'm saying at all. A good relationship is built on honesty, communication, and trust. But timing is everything. When you're first getting to know a man, when things are still fresh and new, he doesn't need to know every little thing you're insecure about. You need to let him see the confident, strong, amazing woman that you are, because you are all of those things, even if you don't always feel that way. Let's talk about that for a minute. Ladies, I know it's not easy to always feel confident. Society puts all these expectations on you about how you should look, how you should act, what you should accomplish by now, and that can be overwhelming. It's natural to feel insecure sometimes, but what you have to understand is this: confidence is one of the most attractive qualities you can have. It's not about being perfect. It's about owning who you are, flaws and all. And when you lead with that confidence, that's what a man is going to be drawn to. He's not going to be nitpicking the little things you're insecure about because you're not highlighting them for him. Here's the thing: when you're too quick to share all your insecurities with a man, you're giving him a blueprint of what you think is wrong with you. And you know what? Most of the time, he didn't even notice those things until you pointed them out. But now that you've laid it all out, it's in his head, and he might start looking at you through that lens. It's like if you were watching a movie and the director came out before it started and said, hey, just so you know, the lighting in this scene is terrible, and the actor forgot his lines a few times. Now, you're watching the movie looking for all those mistakes instead of just enjoying it for what it is. You don't need to put your insecurities under a spotlight for a man. Keep them in the back for now. Work on them on your own. Because the truth is, they're not as big of a deal as you think they are. Most of the time, what you're insecure about is something that doesn't even cross his mind. You might be sitting there worrying about your body, and meanwhile, he's just thinking about how lucky he is to be with you. But when you constantly bring up those insecurities, it can shift his focus to them, and that's not what you want. Here's the secret: men aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for a woman who's confident in who she is, someone who knows her worth and doesn't need validation from anyone else. So instead of focusing on what you don't like about yourself, focus on what makes you great. And if there are insecurities that you truly need to work on, that's okay. But do that work on your own terms, and don't expect a man to fix it for you, because that's not his job. His job is to love you, support you, and be there for you, but he can't do that if you're constantly pointing out the things you don't love about yourself. In the end, it's about balance. Yes, you can open up about your insecurities eventually, but don't let them define how you present yourself in the early stages of a relationship. Give them a chance to fall in love with your confidence, your spirit, your strength, because that's the real you, and that's the woman he's going to adore. Insecurities and all. When it comes to relationships, there's one thing I've learned over the years, and ladies, you need to hear this loud and clear. You cannot go into a relationship with a man thinking you're going to change him. That's not how this works. See, a lot of women meet a guy, they see potential, and they immediately start planning out all the little things they're going to fix about him. Maybe it's how he dresses, maybe it's the way he talks, or how he handles certain situations. You've got this mental checklist of all the ways you're going to help him level up. But let me tell you something. You can't let him know about that plan. Men, we're not projects. We don't like to feel like we're under construction. When you meet a man and you already have a plan to change him, what you're really saying, whether you mean to or not, is that you don't fully accept him as he is. And trust me, we can pick up on that energy. It's one thing to offer some subtle guidance over time, but if you come at us like a full-on makeover show, we're going to feel disrespected. And that's going to push us away faster than you can imagine. Here's the thing. Men are creatures of habit. We like to be comfortable. So when a woman comes into our lives and starts hinting at all the things she wants to change, we get defensive. It's not because we don't want to improve, but because it feels like you're not appreciating who we are in the moment. Sure, we might not have the perfect style, or maybe we've got some rough edges when it comes to communication, but trying to change a man overnight will only make him dig his heels in deeper. It's human nature. The more someone tries to push you in one direction, the more you resist. So if you let him know you've got a whole transformation plan in mind, he's going to shut down real quick. Now, I'm not saying that men don't need to grow. We all do, but you have to let that growth happen naturally. A man will change when he feels inspired to change. And trust me, if he really loves you, he will change. But he's got to feel like it's his choice. It has to come from within him. If you're constantly dropping hints or flat out telling him what you want to change about him, it won't stick. In fact, it might even cause resentment. The key is to guide him gently. You want to influence, not control. You might not like the way he dresses, but instead of saying you need to stop wearing those old t-shirts, you could compliment him on the times when he does dress well. Positive reinforcement works wonders. When he sees that you appreciate the small efforts he makes, he's going to want to keep doing it. Over time, you'll see him making changes, but it'll feel natural for both of you. It won't feel forced or like you're trying to mold him into someone he's not. The same goes for deeper issues, like how he handles conflict or communication. If you come out and say you need to talk to me more, he's going to feel criticized. But if you lead by example, by being open and patient in your communication with him, he'll start to pick up on that. It's a process, but it's a process that needs time and space to develop. You can't rush it, and you definitely can't force it. The reality is, men aren't perfect, we know that. But we need to feel like the changes we make are happening because we want to be better for you, not because you're trying to fix us. No man wants to feel like he's a project, like he's being shaped into someone else's ideal version of himself. He wants to feel like you love him for who he is, even with his flaws. So ladies, I'm telling you, hide that plan to change him. Keep it tucked away in the back of your mind. Appreciate him for who he is right now. And if there are things you'd like to see change, be patient. Give him room to grow on his own. Trust that if he's the right man for you, he'll evolve in ways that make your relationship stronger, but let that evolution happen naturally. When you take that approach, you'll both be happier and your relationship will thrive because it's built on acceptance, not control.